Welcome back to CBS News 24/7. President Trump signed more executive orders Tuesday, among them a maximum pressure campaign against the Iranian government in order to prevent them from getting a nuclear weapon. So the White House did not specifically state what kind of pressure that would include, but Mr. Trump said he was torn when signing the order, then sent a chilling warning to Iran after reporters asked why he was unhappy to sign it if Iran previously threatened to assassinate him. Listen.
Well, they haven't done that, and that would be a terrible thing for them to do, not because of me. If they did that, they would be obliterated. That would be the end. I've left instructions. If they do it, they get obliterated. There won't be anything left. And they shouldn't be able to do it. And Biden should have said that, but he never did. I don't know why, lack of intelligence, perhaps. But he never said it. If that happens to a leader, or close to a leader, frankly, if you had other people involved also, you would call for total obliteration of a state that did it. That would include Iran.
So let's go to CBS News Pentagon reporter Ellee Watson. The word obliterated is a big word for a president to use. What does he mean?
Yeah, well, Reed, I'll get to what he said last night, but I do want to share something that we just learned, and it's related, and that's that former Secretary of Defense Mark Esper has had his security detail, which was provided by the Defense Department, removed. We've heard that from a U.S. official and a Defense Department official. Esper, like President Trump, has faced threats from Iran because of the 2020 killing of Qasem Soleimani, the former commander of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Quds Force. This removal of security from Esper follows other officials who have had their security revoked, like former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, former National Security Advisor John Bolton. Now, as for what President Trump said last night about obliteration, he said very loudly and with language what the Biden administration actually said quietly last fall, which is that Iran has been warned that if it tries to attempt an attack on President Trump, it would be considered an act of war. Now, the Pentagon does have plans it could pull from that would significantly harm Iran, including going after its nuclear facilities. As far as instructions, only the commander-in-chief can instruct the military what to do. So any instructions left by a previous commander-in-chief, the military couldn't act on.
All right, so let's go back to what you mentioned regarding Esper. What does this say about the president's relationship or suspicions there?
This is kind of the latest, what appears to be retaliation. I mean, when we got to the Pentagon on Inauguration Day, we saw the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley. His portrait was removed from the Pentagon hallways. Several days later, we saw Secretary of Defense Mark Esper's portrait removed from when he was Secretary of the Army. And we also saw Milley's portrait from the Chief of Staff of the Army hallway also removed. President Trump has not shied away from criticizing these officials who have criticized his first administration. And so this pulling of security details seems to be the latest semi-retaliatory move by the Trump administration. Now, President Trump, when asked about the previous officials who have had their security details removed, like Bolton, like Pompeo, Trump said that when you get security, you don't get it forever. And that was part of his calculation when revoking them.
Okay, so what's next? Who replaces? Who comes in line?
So what we're wondering is who in the Defense Department actually gave the order. This security for Mark Esper is provided by the Defense Department because he was a former Secretary of Defense. The security for Pompeo and for Pompeo's former aide, Brian Hook, that was provided by diplomatic security, and so Secretary of State Rubio actually gave that order. So we're fleshing through who actually gave the order to take these detailees away, and what the extent of the threat to these officials who were involved in Qasem Soleimani's killing is today.
So many details to pick through. We'll leave that for you to chase answers. But while we have you here, I want to talk about President Trump's crackdown on undocumented immigrants. The U.S. deported its first migrant group to Guantanamo Bay. Do we know who they are? And can you talk about the infrastructure the Pentagon needs to build to really accommodate the thousands of people expected?
The first flight to Guantanamo Bay under this new plan proposed by President Trump arrived yesterday. That flight had about 10 detainees that the U.S. government considers high threat detainees, and so these members were told of a Venezuelan gang, and because they're high threat, they're going to go into an already secure detention facility in cells. They'll be separate from the 15 prisoners that are still at Guantanamo Bay from the War on Terror, but these new detainees will still be in cells. That's only 10 migrants. President Trump has said that there should be space for up to 30,000. These already existing detention facilities don't have that space, and so over the weekend, the Pentagon sent 300 Marines who have begun building tents to have additional capacity as these expected migrants start making their way to Guantanamo Bay.
CBS News Pentagon reporter Ellee Watson, thank you so much. So many developments. Seems like by the minute. We appreciate you jumping in to talk to us.